now.
Now let's talk about that.
So guys, what will you do? No, we just quickly want to talk about what is now a title. So just yapping a little bit about the support shortage, because we were a little bit surprised that for quite a while now we didn't have a support shortage, or at least it didn't feel like a support shortage, at least only in 1.680. And while the game always has a support shortage, this is not news, I mean pretty much everyone knows, there was never a support shortage in hard modes, Prechaza for example. But also now, even if you go for normal mode, sub plus friend, sub plus friend, sub plus friend, sub plus friend, sub plus friend.
Even every day our viewers also saying,
yeah, exactly,
guys, I'm lobby simulator for an hour, for 2 hours, something like this, especially egg in normal mode.
And for, yeah, even for egg in normal mode, which was completely fine for so long. And I was a little bit curious, of course, to see a little bit more numbers about it. And luckily we have the lovely statistics OVO website.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if this is really new what they added there, but I didn't see it before. So either they added it or it is just whatever. I don't believe this, Aeon, because even when Artist came out, there was no support, there was no DPS shortage. Just in a specific eye level range, there was a DPS shortage, but for all the other, it didn't change anything. So, I mean, in general, we're missing about 5% of subs in the game, which is kind of crazy. Because if we look at this in sheer numbers, what do we have? 607, 269. And of course, there's also bots among all these numbers, you know, so we can't specifically say this is the only reason. But this is a sub shortage of 30,000 subs. So that is already kind of crazy. Because if we think about it, that means 7,590 parties can't get a sub.
Yeah, at all.
I mean, you know, this is based on a 4-man rate, so we also need to deduct it again. No, now I made a mistake. Times 4 divided by 2. 3,795 party can't find a sub. And Behemoth is out of this calculation right now. And then I started to look a little bit what they added. And I haven't seen this personally before. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. But surprisingly, for Prechaza hard mode, there's actually this lowest amount of sub shortage. We're only missing like 1.7%. And this, for me, this kind of makes sense because it reflects a little bit what we've been seeing. And I think, especially before Prechaza was nerfed, many DPS who were 1690 didn't even do Prechaza hard mode. And this is why there were even more supports. That like DPS said like, okay, fuck this, I'm going to normal mode, but every sub, 1690, you can still do it. And this was then contributing to a temporarily DPS shortage in Prechaza hard modes. Sometimes I feel like I'm just buying a bust and look for 1 hour for a sub. Yeah, and I mean, it sucks.
Understandable. It's just, you know, you need to wait an hour or even 2 hours for just entering the lobby.
And then and it's across the board, right? And it's the worst, funnily enough, for Behemoth, which was quite surprising. But to be fair, all characters who are higher also can join Behemoth. Also need to consider that range. And what I also didn't know, that they added the characters by region. That's just as a side note. We knew that Central Europe has a higher player base and North America is pretty much fucked.
Yeah.
That's also kind of crazy to me. But I wanted to look at this again in sheer numbers. Because when I calculated it before, I saw that we're missing like, what was it, 2,900 subs in our region for AG hard mode alone. And it was also...
And now?
Swap main to support to have a slightly easier time program. Makes sense. And if you look at it, this I also found interesting. I didn't see this last time. Most people park their characters at 1640. And there is so many... Look at this, guys. 175,000 1640 characters. This is like more than everything else combined almost. Because of the red alt rosters. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You know,
probably.
I was really wondering how many there is. -1 soon. Congrats, Aeon.
Yeah, Aeon, you're cut first.
But it's really insane to me that this is. I did not expect that this ratio is like this. And also, this is also kind of funny. There is still 144,000 characters lower than 1,600. That's probably all the Lopang slaves. I mean, what else can it be? But feels also very interesting. And then when I looked at these numbers the first time, not now anymore, I was also a little bit shocked that actually there's only, and I don't know why I was shocked. I had a misconception about the player base. That there's actually so many people, so little people, who have a 1690 plus character. Because here, rosters per item level, this is essentially saying which roster has a how many rosters have a 1700 plus character. And in total, only 20,000 rosters have a 1690 plus roster, which kind of looks like the majority of people don't have a character which is perchance a hard mode ready right now. And don't ask me why. I didn't really expect this. I thought that the community is much more hardcore based.
I mean, you know, this is literally the sign of hardcore players make voice louder, but doesn't mean it's our player base on hardcore players only.
Yeah, probably.
It's so little. They're just so little. So little percentage.
20 core roster, 30k character. That's actually also very good point. Because that means people have multiple 1690s.
Oh my God.
I mean, like us. We have 3 characters on 1690 plus right now.
Yeah.
So we are also... So, where do they have these statistics? If you go on the website here, and you go on the stats here, then you can see this. Freaking whales. I mean, we are more of a dolphin and we still have these 3 characters. It's not like we're spending thousands of euros every month.
Yeah,
into the
but
game.
2 is we did advanced honing in tier 3.
Yeah.
Very long time ago. That helps a lot. And the other one, we just reached to 1690, but kind of under gear if compared with the other 1690.
And what I want to say, I mean, as I said, this is not really anything new. And I also... In my head, it's like, whose fault is it? You could just say every 6 DPS Andy is at fault, right? Because you're not making a support and you're making the situation worse. You could just make... you could just make a sub, actually 2, because otherwise you're still fucking up the ratio. And then it's fine. But I also can't blame people for not playing something that is not fun to them.
Yeah, you should feel fun. So if you don't feel any joy when you play sub, then yeah, shame, but it is what it is. And
I also don't see how it can fix. I mean, people just want to play DPS characters. I mean, yeah, Lady Use thinks support is fun, but it's just not what everybody thinks. Apparently, based on statistics.
4 character per roster is terrible.
Yeah, we also talked about this in a video we made, where I also said, like, okay, it looks like so many people have an alt roster. Or maybe many have multiple alt rosters even. But in the YouTube comments, I got destroyed for saying that. Many people disagreed very heavily that there is a lot of alt rosters. I don't know. I was always thinking there is shitloads of alt rosters out there. Maybe it's not the case. Who knows? Maybe the bound gold is also destroying it a little bit. I like play sub and think it's fun, but it's like always every person have different types. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And as Aeon also mentioned before, he said like the female Pala, it is probably making it a little bit better, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it will remain mostly the same.
I'm still thinking female paladin you can swap DPS and sub. They're making those kind of a way, so let's see, maybe
I would love
maybe a bit better or maybe getting worse or so.
I mean, if they make a hybrid class out of it, like a class who's supporting and DPSing at the same time, that could be a really cool introduction.
I mean, Pala was originally that concept.
No, that didn't work.
Up design that way.
People will go DPS probably mainly. And this is also the thing, Ashley. This is the problem. Then you have a new sub who is, in the end, going to be not a sub but a DPS. And then it's, again, not helping the situation. And now think about what we said earlier. 3,795 parties can't find a sub.
Yeah.
Not a single one. That is just... I think, no, I did the math wrong right now. Let's go with this one. 5%. 30,000 players. 30,363 characters, sorry. It's absolute crazy.
Just remove subs, make them all DPS. That actually also many Koreans suggest to Smilegate. But you know, also many RPG games always have sub, no?
Mm-hmm. And I think even in World of Warcraft, which is highly popular, has a sub problem, from what I know, because other people just prefer playing not healer characters. I mean, World of Warcraft is a little bit different in the design. They have like multiple support classes.
Explain my 3-hour simulator Tuesday. Exactly. Exactly, Frost.
But from all the feedback I've heard and the little games I played in my life, MMO related, there was always a sub problem. It's in every game, it's the same. So you can say, okay, subs are badly designed in Lost Ark. Maybe that's true. But apparently no other gaming company has figured out a way that people like playing subs.
Well, sometimes it's more acceptable level, and nowadays, especially these days in EU, it's just incredibly hard to find a lobby.
And also, you know, if you look at character, I checked the stats for 1680 plus. If you look at it, why is Soul Eater the most played class? I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? It's just the strongest. Yeah, exactly. So people just want to see the highest numbers. And then what is next? I think Slayer, if you look at higher item levels, it's actually not there. Why can't I look at this anymore? It worked before. What? So you go to 1680 and now Slayer is also gone. Because Slayer was really strong in the beginning. And
Not anymore.
And then people just probably dropped it because it went and have it like in their lower roster, you know, not as a high. But then you look at Breaker. Breaker is coming up. Breaker is freaking new. So shitloads of people also want to play Breaker. And I play Striker because I hate myself. 07 in chat. And Deathblade is also quite high. And you also see it when you open a high lobby. I see the most class applying is Soul Eater. It is absolutely visible. I mean, anyway, sadly, we don't really have any solution here. And I also don't really think this is going to change anytime soon. The only thing that I still to this day don't understand is why the Supp Shortage suddenly increased so drastically. The Hyper Express, it can't be the Hyper Express alone. Or what do you guys think? You think even more people drop their sub now for the Hyper Express? Because it is definitely much worse now.
I can imagine actually, after this event, when you have a 6 character within sub, and then someone making stronger character like Sorita, because I'm also one of them. You just make a Sorita because your soul is so fucking broken class. Even you low spec, you make more DPS.
It's also fun to play.
And you just decided to drop your sub in this event. I can see this kind of a reasonable choice people a lot, and I can imagine. I can totally imagine that.
Well, anyways, so whenever you guys feel like...
So it's kind of a...
There's no subs?
Yes, it is.
You know why?
Very Supp Shortage.